Yo peeps, Erik Galaxy here. Welcome to Twit Radio. It's the end of Super Bowl week. Before I get into that, the good stuff, just want to address something here. I was watching Jeopardy, and one of the answers was Daniel Stern's character in Diner collects these, even though his wife said, well, who even listens to the flip side? I have not seen the movie myself, but my first inkling was to say 45s, because 45s had the flip, you had the A side and the B side, and the B side was always called the flip side. I believe it was some kind of disc jockey term back in the 50s or whatnot. But yeah, that's the flip side. But the actual answer to the question, the actual question to the answer was LPs. So I started thinking, well, wait a second, LPs like long play? Like, I've never heard anybody call side 2 of an LP, an album, the flip side. Also, everybody that owns LPs, owns albums, knows that a lot of times some of the best songs are on side 2 and not side 1, because LPs have side 1, side 2. 45s have A and B. Just saying. So why would that be something she would say? Because nobody ever calls the flip side of an album, a side 2, the flip side. Did I just say that correctly? Probably not. But just something to educate y'all on. The flip side is not an LP thing. It's a 45 thing. I mean, I've got albums myself where side 2 is better than side 1. So, just saying. Alright, enough of that. So, yeah, end of Super Bowl week. So, what that means is there was a whole lot of stupid questions, a whole lot of information overload, and a whole lot of clown questions, like the one somebody asked Patrick Mahomes to do his best Kermit the Frog imitation. That's a clown question, so get out of here, dude. Also, whole lot of conspiracy stuff, as usual, because this is the age of conspiracies. Even when they're not conspiracies, they're just facts, ruminations or whatever. Started off with the Super Bowl logo. The colors of the Super Bowl logo this year were purple and red. And because the last 3 Super Bowls, the colors that came out happened to just coincide with the colors of the teams playing in the Super Bowl, all of a sudden it was like, oh well, it's all scripted, right? So, alarm, damn alarm. So everybody was saying, oh well, this year it's going to be the Ravens and the 49ers because, you know, those are the colors. And well, we know how that turned out, so you can just cut that one out of the conspiracy file. Then there was the head of CBS joking around with somebody, I guess, probably after a couple of shots of tequila or whatever, I don't know, saying, oh yeah, the NFL just sent me down a script saying that it's going to go to double overtime. It's going to be the first Super Bowl ever to go to double overtime. I mean, I'm sure the guy was just joking around or whatever, but you know what? Man, if that happens, internet's going to blow up. The internet is going to fry. The power grid will go down. Be like, and it's like, I mean, I am so hoping that this goes to double overtime, because that would be freaking funny. And then you get the minor conspiracy things about how, you know, apparently the 49ers practice field has the wrong Clegg number to it. So, I mean, little things like that. But, and then then you can start getting into the whole numerology part of it, where it's like, well, Brock Purdy's number is 13. 49ers, 4 plus 9 is 13. It's Super Bowl 58. 5 plus 8, 13. Oh, let's throw some Taylor Swift in there too, because her favorite number is 13. So, yeah, I mean, you get all these kind of crazy questions and stuff. Like I said, information overload during the week, and it's hard to keep up with. But, so you just got to kind of pick and choose what you're going to listen to. One of the things coming out this past week was that the Kansas City Chiefs are now the new villains of football because, you know, they win so much. Being a fan of a team that has been part of a dynasty before, I've been through this and I know how it all is. Because, you know, at first everybody's like, oh, good for them, they finally made it. After all these years of futility, they finally made it, you know. And then, you know, 10 years later, it's like, screw those guys. I hate them. We hate them. Unless, of course, you're a fan of the team. Then you're like, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. But I got an analogy. I just came up with an analogy for this the other day. We'll see how this goes. You go to a club and you see a band. And you're like, wow, I really like this band. And so you end up like following them and going to the gigs and everything. And they're, you know, yeah, all right, I like these guys. And then the band puts out an album. And they have a song on it that maybe hits the radio airwaves or whatever. And you're like, oh, yeah, all right, cool, man. I'm so happy for these guys. You know, I've been there since the beginning, you know, and following them around. And now they finally, you know, are making it. And then, of course, that means that other people come aboard and find out about them. And then, so they put another album out. And this album just goes, all of a sudden they're on all the shows and everything, #1 with a bullet, yada, yada, yada. And, of course, more fans come in and you're like, yeah, all right. But I was there with them from the beginning. I was there before they were, you know, this popular band. And then the band puts out another album. And maybe the album, maybe it's not the same kind of music or whatever, or your taste as they were in the beginning, but more fans are coming, and that goes, you know, triple platinum and everything. Now you're like, yeah, I used to like them, but, you know, now they're not as good as they used to be because, you know, now they suck because, you know, that album wasn't that good. So, you like them, then all of a sudden, they suck. So, go figure. Another thing this week was somebody had said that people were rooting against Brock Purdy. Now, I haven't really heard anybody rooting against Brock Purdy. I mean, sure, if you're a Chiefs fan, you're rooting against Brock Purdy. But I mean, overall picture, I haven't really heard pundits or anybody rooting against Brock Purdy. I mean, they've said some disparaging things about him as far as he's a game manager, which is like, well, that's just stupid. But actually having people root against him, I'm not seeing that. The only reason I could think that you're rooting against him, other than being a Chiefs fan, is that I guess if he fails and doesn't win the Super Bowl, then you can go, see, told you, I told you so, told you he sucked. I mean, even if he's like, does a really good game, you know, has a great game, but he loses. You know, Jalen Hurts, last year, had a really good game. And everybody was, you know, afterwards, everybody was saying, oh man, if the Eagles would have won that, he would have been the MVP because he had a really good game. That's not going to happen with Brock Purdy. People are going to say, see, told you so, told you he sucked. Doesn't matter how good a game he has. One of the conversations that I heard this week also was somebody saying that they believe that if Patrick Mahomes wins this Super Bowl, that he will go down as the GOAT. He said it didn't matter if Mahomes never reaches the same hardware that Tom Brady has as far as Super Bowls, that he will be the GOAT. So I started thinking, well, wow, if this guy's thinking this, there's probably a whole lot of other people that are thinking the same thing. And that's just crazy, because we put so much emphasis on Super Bowls won. I mean, that's really the Tom Brady thing. That's why he's considered the GOAT. And y'all know I hate that term GOAT. Should be great. But the whole reason people look at him as the GOAT is because he has that longevity and those 7 Super Bowls. So if we take that out of the equation, and all of a sudden the amount of Super Bowls you have won doesn't mean anything, then what happens then? What's the new measurement? Now it becomes, well, what do we base it on? How fast somebody got popular? Who went to Super Bowl and didn't lose? Does Joe Montana all of a sudden jump to the forefront of the conversation as the GOAT? How far back do we go? I mean, is it just Super Bowl era? Or do we go, okay, we'll throw the Super Bowl rings out the window and let's look at the whole, the pantheon of NFL players, more or less quarterback play. Do we go back to Otto Graham, who was like, he was the man he was the Tom Brady back in the day, but I just thought that was kind of interesting that somebody's already, bam, saying Mahomes is the GOAT, even though he's only like 28 years old. I mean, he may end up being like have more Super Bowls than Tom Brady, but a person saying that it did not matter is like, well, now you're just throwing everything out the window, and we're starting from from scratch again, and now everybody's in there. Come on down. You're in the conversation now. Come on down. You're now not only in the conversation, but you're like the GOAT. So of course, during the Super Bowl week, the commissioner came down at the beginning to field some questions. But the one question that I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting, was somebody asked him, why are you making your fan base pay to watch a game on Peacock? So some of his answers were kind of, first of all, he said, well, 95% of our games are free, televised for free. Technically that's correct, because if you have one of those antennas, that little square thing that you put on your wall, I think they're called MOHF or something, something like MO something. Yeah, if you got one of those, yes, you can get the games for free, because they are still broadcast in analog. So, over the airwaves. So, yeah, you can get that. But let's face it. Pretty much everybody out there has some kind of internet access because of their phone or their laptop or whatever. And if you want to stream, you got to have a streaming service too. So you're going to be paying for it no matter what. And the Peacock thing was what, an extra $6 to watch the game? I mean, come on. $6. Yeah, but you get a whole month. So not only do you get the game, but you get Peacock programming for a month as well. So everybody has to pay for internet service. You got to pay for streaming service. You're paying no matter whatever it is, in your area. But anyway, so another interesting thing that he said was that they were going to Peacock, and they're going to be going to, well, they already went to Amazon Prime, so they're going to other platforms because that's where the viewership is, because more people are streaming and more people are already on these particular platforms in the first place. So yeah, we're going there, and you're gonna piss off some people, but you're gonna get more people than you're pissing off, and that's the trade-off. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and they're actually gonna go and expand further on down the line. So I mean, Commissioner said that there are going to be 200 million viewers for this Super Bowl. Which is interesting because last year there was 115 million viewers for this in the U.S. So that's a pretty big jump from 115 to 200 million. We'll see if that's what happens or not. But yeah, that's what they said was going to happen. So we'll see. I know I'll be watching. So I know there's a lot of people out there like, I'm not going to watch this game. I don't care about this game. And whatever. If you don't care about the game and you're not watching, then you're not really a football fan, are you? I mean, really. If you're a football fan, you're watching the freaking game. So they had the NFL Honors show this week also, which was kind of interesting because it's a regular season awards, and there were some people saying it could be a little awkward because, like, Lamar Jackson, you know, winning the MVP award, but he's not in the Super Bowl, was kind of like, you know, well, he's there in the same town when the Super Bowl is being played. I kind of agree with that I think that the award show should be right after the regular season, because then, if, like, say Lamar Jackson, who won the MVP award, you know, he can bask in that glory, knowing that he has a chance down the line in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. And if he gets there, great. If he doesn't, well, sucks. But at least it's not put in that awkward moment of showing up in a place where the Super Bowl's being played and he's not in it. But he's the most valuable player. He's the best player. Well, he's not in it. The one that really got me, though, was kind of interesting, was Joe Flacco winning the Comeback Player of the Year award. Because a lot of people thought it was going to be Damar Hamlin. Because Damar Hamlin came back from the dead. I mean, so if you come back from the dead and you play the next year, why isn't that Comeback Player of the Year? Joe Flacco only played, what, 5 games? So, I mean, he wasn't even there for the whole season, so why is he the comeback play? I mean, it was a nice little story. He was on his couch, you know, not playing, and then all of a sudden pick up the phone, and Cleveland Browns are in desperate need, so he ends up playing for them and doing fairly well. He went to the playoffs, where they lost the first round, but yeah, I mean, come on. If you come back from the dead, how is that not Comeback Player of the Year? I don't know, but I don't know who's voting for this stuff, but that just seems, I mean, not right. Also, the Hall of Fame final inductees were announced. As usual, you're going to get some people that didn't make it that you think should be in there, and there's going to be some people that get in there and you're like, what? Who was this guy? I mean, I think Deion Sanders said the best a while back. I can't remember how long ago it was, but he's saying he felt that the Hall of Fame was getting watered down. That they were letting people in there just because of their popularity, or maybe because there wasn't anybody else on the list that were better than some people or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that's going to happen. The best one inductee, though, this year in my mind is Steve McMichael getting in. Because I already thought he was in. I mean, I thought, what? I thought he was in. Kind of sucks that he won't be able to attend the ceremonies because he has ALS, and apparently he's not doing so good. So, yeah, congrats to him. I'll be watching the show, and I'm getting ready to cry right now. I'll probably cry during that portion of the program. But yeah, Steve McMichael. It's kind of weird. I heard somebody talking about this, that the voters for the Hall of Fame do take into account who retired the same year you retired, and whether or not to vote for somebody to get into the Hall of Fame. Because let's face it, not everybody can be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But they take into account well, if we put this guy in this year, this other guy, well, or these people, this one guy, we'll bump him down the line and put him in next year. But you don't know who's retiring what years and what years. What happens if all of a sudden the people who retired after him, all of a sudden they retire? It's like, oh well, shoot, we can't put this guy in there because these other guys were more famous or whatever at the time, and you can end up getting bumped down till finally you're out of it, because circumstances. Jim Plunkett. Why isn't Jim Plunkett in the Hall of Fame? He has two. They keep talking about Eli Manning. Oh, Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl wins and whatever. So does Jim Plunkett, and he was the MVP of one of them. Why isn't? And he was a Heisman Trophy winner in a first pick, of the draft. Why isn't? And Eli Manning was not a Heisman Trophy winner. Why is Jim Plunkett not in the Hall of Fame? I don't understand that one. I believe he's not even eligible for the vote now. So I think the only way he can get in is by some kind of committee, like Old Timers Committee or something. I think, do they have the Old Timers Committee in football? Because I know they have it in baseball. But anyways, yeah. So, but I mean, they need to do a special exemption for him because he should be in there. But yeah. Every year you're going to get some people that go in there and they're like, well, how's this guy better than this guy that's still hanging out there in the wings? You don't know. So, but yeah, I'll watch the ceremony. Like I said, I'll probably cry when the little Steve McMichael thing comes up. But Hall of Fame, here we go. All right, so let's get into my shorts. Can anybody explain to me what the significance of a Viking family driving an SUV is? Is it because if Vikings had SUVs, this is the brand they would be driving? What's up with the Caitlin Clark commercial in State Farm? She's standing there in her uniform, bouncing a basketball, and she's got more makeup on than one of those Cupid dolls that you win at the fair. The one, when you hammer down, throw the hammer and hit the bell and everything, and the guy's all, here's your prize, it's a Cupid doll. I think that's kind of a 50s thing, but anyways, yeah, I mean, full on makeup. I mean, rouge, and I'm pretty sure I've seen her play, and she doesn't wear any makeup when she's playing. So, I mean, I know there are, I've seen some of the basketball players out there, women basketball players, that do have makeup on and they have the false eyelashes and everything, and whatever, that's their thing, it's cool. But she doesn't do that. So why during the commercial for State Farm have they basically made her up to look like, one of those Cupid doll things? Look it up, Cupid doll. So one of my pet peeves is sports graphics. And this isn't just a football thing or a school thing or whatever, but it was kind of brought to my attention again when I was watching it, how sometimes the sports graphics are not very good. This one involved, you had a host asking one of the pundits, it's hard to say pundit without saying pundits, putting that N in there. Anyways, asking one of the other guys, who's going to have the bigger game, Kelsey or Kittle? But the graphic at the bottom said who's going to have a bigger impact, not game, impact. Now to me, game and impact are two different things. Sure, you could do the Venn diagram. How would I do that? The Venn diagram where there's some overlap there. But for the most part, game to me means who's going to have you know, in this particular instance, you know, more yards, more, you know, touchdowns, more catches, yada, yada, yada. Where impact means who's going to actually impact the game by their play. Because we all know Travis Kelce is more of the pass catcher than Kittle is. But Kittle is more of the run blocker than Kelce is. So if the 49ers have a really good run game going on, then I think Kittle's making more of an impact with his blocking than Kelce would. But anyways, regardless. So I think if you're going to ask a question and say who has a better game, then the graphic at the bottom should say game, not impact. Once again, pet peeve of mine, and maybe that really wasn't a short, but I'm sticking with it anyways. Alright, so other big news coming out of Las Vegas this week was that the mayor of Las Vegas, when asked about the A's relocating to Las Vegas, was kind of like pretty non-committal. It was kind of like, I think she didn't want to be the homewrecker, and she's like, well, maybe they should try to, you know, reconcile with the city of Oakland and work out a deal there. Which is kind of interesting, because usually when a team relocates from one city to another, the one city is like all like fanfare, yeah, come on down, woo hoo hoo, and usually the city is putting up a large sum of money to build that stadium. But here's the funny thing. The actual proposed location of the stadium is not in Las Vegas. It's like not even in the same county, I think. I think it's like, it might be in the same county. But anyways, it's not in Las Vegas. So, and so I'm starting to figure out, well, okay, so then why would Las Vegas put up all this money to build a stadium if they're not, if the mayor's not like, all that, you know, committed to it? So I found out that it wasn't Las Vegas that put up the money to relocate the A's to Las Vegas, which is, it's not. But and I found out it was actually the governor and the state government voted to put money and use state funds to relocate the A's to Nevada. So I started thinking, well, that's kind of interesting, because you're using state funds. So what happens to the people like in Carson City, Reno, Elko, that are like, the taxes they're paying are going to build a stadium that's nowhere near them, so they're not really reaping the benefits of having, unless there's some kind of clause that says in the contract that says a portion of the A's revenue will go back into the state funds, which is entirely possible. I mean, like, I don't know those whole contract things, but it's funny that you usually don't have a state allocating state funds to build a stadium someplace. And let's face it, Las Vegas doesn't really need pro teams there. I mean, they've got lots of money coming in anyways. They have the Las Vegas Knights, Golden Knights right now, who are, from what I understand, are doing really well in attendance. And apparently the owner was saying the other day that pretty much their fan base is local. It's not, you know, out-of-towners. And then you got the flip side. Flip side again, here we go, where the Raiders, they're not really selling out their home games. A whole lot of people that are in the stands are from out of town, so they're more of a destination for your vacation destination, which I think I said this before. But you know, I mean, the Golden Knights play in a 16,000 seat arena. The Raiders play in a 60,000 seat arena, so it's 4 times the size. So yeah, it'd be a little bit more difficult to get people in the seats there. And the A's are going to be coming in, and I don't know how big their stadium is going to be. Probably somewhere around the 40 to 50,000 mark. But they play 162 games a year, so pretty much double what the hockey team is playing, and way more than what the football team plays. But so it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them. But yeah, so I thought it was kind of interesting that the Las Vegas mayor was like, we can take it or leave it. But now I know why, because the stadium's not really in her city. So, all right, so that's it for the show today. Subscribe, like, whatever you want to do. On YouTube, Twit Radio, at Twit Radio 9. And once again, Jim Plunkett, Hall of Fame. Peace out.